They say the white tiger never shows weakness. But Adeyola watched him die slowly, piece by piece, while his own family sharpened their knives, without an heir to carry his name. Her name was Adeola, and she became the most dangerous woman in Seoul the day she agreed to carry a monster's child. Park Jin-woo was dying, and everyone in the Korean underworld knew it. The leader of the Baekho Clan, the White Tiger himself, had built an empire on blood and steel. For 30 years, his name alone made men bow and rivals retreat. He controlled half of Seoul's underground, owned legitimate businesses worth billions, and commanded an army of loyal soldiers. But none of that mattered now. Cancer was eating him from the inside. 7 months, the doctors said. Maybe less. His hands trembled when he tried to hold chopsticks. His legs could barely carry him from his bed to the living room. The man who once broke bones with his bare hands now needed help to button his shirt. And he had no son. 3 daughters. Park Hyejin, 28. Park Suah, 25. Park Minji, 19. Beautiful, educated, ruthless. But in the Baekho clan, in the world of Korean organized crime, only a blood son could inherit the throne. It was tradition. It was law. It was everything. Without a male heir, the clan would fracture. Rival gangs would swallow his territory. Everything he built would disappear like smoke. His wife, Yoon Mi-rae, watched him deteriorate with cold, calculating eyes. Their marriage had been political from the start. Her family, the Yoon faction, had needed the Baekho clan's muscle. Park Jin-woo had needed their connections and legitimacy. 28 years of sleeping in the same bed, pretending to care. Now, she was protecting her interests. When Park Jin-woo became too weak to manage alone, Yoon Mi-rae made a decision. She needed someone to watch him, feed him, clean up after him while he slowly died. But she was smart. Too smart. She didn't hire a professional health worker. Those people asked too many, were professionals and might notice things they shouldn't, which would be a problem for her. She didn't hire from the usual agencies that supplied help to wealthy Korean families. Those workers had connections, references, people who would care if something happened to them. No. Yoon Mi-rae went looking for someone desperate. Someone foreign. Someone disposable. That's how she found Adeyola. Adeola Okafor was 22 years old, and 3 months ago, she had been selling her last pair of earrings to pay rent on a closet-sized room in Itaewon. She had come to Seoul 2 years earlier with dreams bigger than her bank account. Teaching English, they said. Good money, they said. What they didn't say was that her Nigerian degree meant nothing here, that her visa would expire, that the teaching job was actually working 14-hour shifts at a restaurant that paid half the legal minimum wage. When that fell through, she tried everything. Cleaning offices at night. Handing out flyers in Gangnam. Modeling for small-time photographers who promised exposure but delivered nothing. Seoul was supposed to be her fresh start. Instead, it became her prison. Then the loan sharks found her. She'd borrowed money to pay for her mother's surgery back in Lagos. Breast cancer, stage 3. The hospital wouldn't operate without payment upfront. So she went to the only people who would lend to a foreign woman with no collateral. Bad decision. Terrible decision. But what choice did she have? Now she owed them 10 million won, and the interest was bleeding her dry. They'd already threatened to visit her family in Lagos. She believed them. These men had connections everywhere. She had 2 younger brothers still in secondary school. Her father died when she was 15. Everything fell on her. Always on her. So when she saw a job posting in a Nigerian community group chat, she didn't hesitate. Caregiver needed for elderly Korean man. No experience required. Room and board provided. 3 million won per month. 3 million won. That was more than she'd made in 6 months combined. She could pay off the loan sharks. Send money home. Maybe even save enough to fix her visa situation. She replied immediately. The interview was at a massive compound in Hanam-dong, where Korea's ultra-rich lived. High walls, security cameras everywhere, guards at every entrance. The house itself looked like something from a drama. Traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern luxury. She'd never seen anything like it. A stern woman in her 50s met her at the door. Yoon-mi-rae. She looked Adeyola up and down like she was an insect. You speak Korean? She asked in perfect English. Yes, ma'am. Not fluently, but I understand most things. Your job is simple. Take care of my husband. Feed him. Help him bathe. Give him his medication on time. Keep him comfortable. Her eyes were cold, empty. He is very sick. Dying, actually. Do you have a problem with that? Adeyola's stomach twisted, but she shook her head. No, ma'am. Good. Yoon-mi-rae stepped closer, her voice dropping to something dangerous. If anything happens to him while you're alone with him, if he falls, if he chokes, if his condition worsens suddenly, you will be held responsible. Do you understand? A chill ran down Adeyola's spine. Something about the way she said it felt like a threat, like she was already planning something. But Adeyola needed this job. Her family needed this job. I understand, ma'am. You start tomorrow. Choi Dae-jung will show you to your room. A massive man appeared from the shadows. 6 feet tall, built like a wall, with scars across his knuckles and a face that had seen too many fights. This was Choi Dae-jung, though Adeyola didn't know his name yet. He nodded at her once and gestured for her to follow. As they walked through the compound, Adeyola noticed everything. The guards patrolling. The cameras. The way every door seemed reinforced. This wasn't just a rich family's home. This was a fortress. Stay out of trouble, Choi Dae-jung said in rough English as he showed her to a small room near the back of the house. Do your job. Don't ask questions. You'll be fine. Then he left, and Adeyola was alone. She sat on the narrow bed, her hands shaking. What had she just walked into? Adeyola met Park Jin-woo the next morning. His bedroom was on the 2nd floor, massive and filled with expensive furniture that somehow felt empty. He sat in a chair by the window, staring out at the garden. Sunlight cut across his face, showing every line, every hollow. He'd been handsome once. You could still see it in the shape of his jaw, the set of his shoulders, the well-groomed beard on his chin and mustache. But sickness had carved him down to something fragile. His skin was pale, almost grey. His hands rested on his lap, trembling slightly. Good morning, sir, Adeyola said softly in Korean, bowing the way she'd learned. He turned to look at her. His eyes were sharp, intelligent, nothing like the rest of his broken body. Who are you? His voice was rough, barely above a whisper. My name is Adeyola, sir. I'm here to help you. He studied her for a long moment, taking in her dark skin, her braided hair, the nervousness she was trying to hide. Nigerian? Yes, sir. He turned back to the window. My wife hire you? Yes, sir. Then you're probably here to kill me. Adeyola froze. What? A dry laugh rattled from his chest. Relax. If you were an assassin, you'd be better at hiding your fear. He waved a hand weakly. Just a joke. Dark humor. You'll need it in this house. Adeyola didn't know what to say to that. Well, Adeyola from Nigeria, Park Jin-woo said, still staring out the window. Let's see if you survive the week. That first week was hell. Nobody told Adeyola what to do. Nobody trained her. She was just expected to know how to care for a dying man. Feed him, bathe him, manage his medications, help him move around without dropping him. She failed. Constantly. She burned his breakfast twice because she didn't know how he liked his rice porridge. She gave him his pain medication an hour late because she couldn't read the Korean labels properly. When she tried to help him walk to the bathroom, they both nearly fell because she didn't know how to support his weight. Any normal employer would have fired her immediately. But Park Jin-woo didn't. When she burned the porridge, he just said, try again. Less heat this time. When she mixed up his pills, she cried and apologized, and he told her to write everything down. So she did. She created a notebook with every medication, every dosage, every time, checking it obsessively. When they almost fell, he actually laughed. At least if we both die, my wife can't blame just you. Slowly, Adeyola learned how to cook his meals the way he liked them. How to help him stand without losing balance. How to read his pain levels in his face, in his breathing. How to make him comfortable. And slowly, something unexpected happened. They started talking. At first, it was small things. The weather is nice today. Or thank you, Adeola. But then the conversations grew longer. He told her about his business, about how he'd built the Baekho Clan from nothing, about the enemies he'd made and the battles he'd won. She listened. Not because she had to, but because she was genuinely interested. This man had lived an incredible life, even if much of it was soaked in blood. He asked about Nigeria too. About Lagos, about her family, about why she came to Korea. She told him everything. About her mother's cancer, her brother's school fees, the loan sharks, the desperate hustle to survive in a foreign country. "You're strong," he said one evening after she'd finished feeding him dinner. "Stronger than any of them." "Them, sir?" He gestured vaguely toward the rest of the house. "My family. They've never struggled. Never fought for anything real. They just wait for me to die so they can fight over the scraps." There was so much bitterness in his voice. "You have 3 daughters, right?" Adeola asked carefully. "Yes. 3 daughters and no son." He stared at nothing. "In my world, that means I have nothing. When I die, the clan dies with me. Everything I built will be torn apart by rivals. My name will disappear." Adeola didn't know what to say to that. "Do you believe in legacy, Adeola?" She thought about her mother working herself sick to raise them. Her father who died young but left them with values, with pride. "Yes, sir. I do." Park Jin-woo nodded slowly. "Then you understand." The daughters hated Adeola from day one. Park Hyojin, the eldest, treated her like furniture. She'd snap her fingers and point at things. "Close that curtain. Bring me water. Turn up the heat. Never please, never thank you." Just commands, like Adeola was a dog. Her boyfriend, Kwon Jae-sung, was worse. He'd come by the house often, whispering in corners with Hyojin, shooting Adeola looks like she was dirt. She'd seen men like him before. Ambitious, hungry, the type who'd step on anyone to climb higher. One afternoon, Adeola overheard them talking in the hallway. "When is the old man finally going to die?" Kwon Jae-sung hissed. "We've been planning this for 2 years. Soon," Hyojin replied coldly. "The doctor said 6 months maximum. Once he's gone, we move. The clan will be ours. What about your mother? Your sisters? They'll fall in line. Or they won't. Either way, we'll control everything." Adeola pressed herself against the wall, holding her breath, praying they wouldn't notice her. They didn't. Park Suar and Park Minji weren't any better. They spent most of their time shopping, posting on social media, talking about all the things they'd buy once their father died. Like his death was just an inconvenience they were waiting to get over. Yoon Mi-rae barely acknowledged Adeola's existence. She'd walk past her like she was invisible, only speaking to give cold instructions or criticize something she'd done wrong. But Park Jin-woo noticed everything. One night, after Adeola had spent the day running errands for Hyojin and cleaning up after Minji's tantrums, he called her into his room. "Sit," he said, patting the chair beside his bed. She sat, exhausted. "They're cruel to you." It wasn't a question. She didn't deny it. "It's okay, sir. I need this job." "It's not okay." His jaw tightened. "You're the only person in this house who treats me like a human being. Everyone else is just waiting for the funeral." Tears pricked Adeola's eyes, but she blinked them back. Park Jin-woo reached out slowly, his trembling hand covering hers. "I'm going to protect you, Adeola. No matter what happens." She wanted to believe him. But how could a dying man protect anyone? 2 months passed. Adeola settled into a routine. Wake at 5, prepare Park Jin-woo's breakfast, help him bathe and dress, give him his morning medications. Spend the day keeping him comfortable, listening to his stories, cleaning his room. Endure whatever abuse the daughters threw at her. Fall into bed exhausted at midnight. Her body ached constantly. Her hands were cracked and raw. But she was sending money home. Her mother's treatment was going well. Her brothers were back in school. The loan sharks were getting paid. She was surviving. But something was changing. Park Jin-woo looked at her differently now. Not with the cold assessment of an employer, but with something deeper. Something that made her heart race in ways she didn't want to think about. He asked personal questions. Do you have a boyfriend back in Nigeria? What do you want from life? Are you happy here? She answered honestly. No boyfriend. She wanted to finish university someday, help her family, maybe open a business. Happy. She didn't know what that word meant anymore. One evening, after she'd given him his medication, he held onto her hand longer than necessary. Adeola, I need to tell you something. His tone made her stomach drop. I'm running out of time. The cancer is spreading faster than expected. I have maybe 3 months left. For if I'm lucky. Sir, I'm so sorry. Listen to me. His grip tightened. I don't want your pity. I want your help. She pulled her hand back slowly. With what? Park Jin-woo's eyes locked onto hers. I need a son. The room went silent except for her heartbeat thundering in her ears. Sir, I don't understand. Yes, you do. His voice was quiet but firm. I need a male heir. Someone to carry my blood, my name, my legacy. The Baekho Clan's law is absolute. Only a son can inherit the throne. Without one, everything I built dies with me. She stood up, her mind spinning. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. He didn't break eye contact. I've thought about this for weeks. You're the only person I trust. The only person who cares about me as a person, not as a bank account. Your wife. My wife hasn't touched me in 15 years. This marriage was business. Always was. His voice turned bitter. And she's too old now anyway. It would never work. Then find someone else. There are thousands of women who would do it for money and then betray me the first chance they got. Who would tell my wife, or my daughters, or sell the story to my enemies. He shook his head. I need someone I can trust. Someone who understands loyalty. I'm not, her voice broke. I can't just. I'm not asking you to love me, Adeyola. I'm not even asking you to stay. I'm asking you to give me one thing before I die. One chance at legacy. One son to carry forward what I built. And what do I get? The words came out harsher than she intended. Park Jin-woo didn't flinch. 10 million won. Immediately. Enough to clear your debts and send your family enough money to live comfortably for years. When the child is born, another 50 million. And protection. My men will make sure nothing happens to you or your family. Ever. 60 million won total. That was life-changing money. Her mother could retire. Her brothers could go to university. She could go home. But the cost. I need to think, she whispered. Take your time. Park Jin-woo leaned back, suddenly looking even more exhausted. But not too much time. I don't have much left. Adeola didn't sleep that night. She paced her tiny room, her mind racing through every possible outcome. What he was asking was insane. Illegal, probably. Definitely immoral. But was it really worse than what she'd already done to survive? Working illegal jobs, borrowing from loan sharks, lying about her visa status. And the money. God, the money could change everything. She thought about her mother in that hospital bed. Her brothers studying by candlelight because they couldn't afford electricity. The loan shark's threats. She thought about Park Jin-woo, dying alone while his family circled like vultures. By morning, she'd made her decision. Yes. Park Jin-woo looked up from his breakfast, his eyes searching hers. Yes. Yes. I'll do it. He set down his spoon slowly. You're sure? No. But I'm saying yes anyway. For the first time since she'd met him, Park Jin-woo smiled. Really smiled. It transformed his face, showing glimpses of the powerful man he used to be. Thank you, Adeyola. You have no idea what this means to me. I have one condition, she said quickly, before she could lose her nerve. Everything in writing. A contract. Legal. So nobody can claim I stole money or trapped you or whatever story they'll tell. Done. I'll have my lawyer draw it up today. He reached for her hand again. You won't regret this. But she already did. The contract was signed in secret 3 days later. Park Jin-woo's private lawyer, a stone-faced man who'd clearly seen worse, witnessed everything. 10 million won deposited into her account immediately. 50 million to be held in trust, released when the child was born. The affair itself was clinical. Awkward. Nothing like the romance novels she'd read as a teenager. Park Jin-woo was dying, his body barely functional. But somehow, impossibly, it worked. And then they waited. 3 months later, Adeola knew. The nausea hit first. Every morning, she'd rush to the bathroom and vomit until there was nothing left. Then the exhaustion, the dizziness, the way certain smells made her stomach turn. She bought a pregnancy test from a pharmacy in Itaewon, somewhere far from the compound where nobody would recognize her. 2 lines. Positive. She stared at it for 10 minutes, her hands shaking. She was carrying the heir to the Baekho Clan. Adeola told Park Jin-woo first, obviously. His reaction was everything she'd expected and feared. Joy. Relief. Tears streaming down his face as he gripped her hands. Thank you, he kept saying. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We don't know if it's a boy yet, she reminded him. It is. I know it is. His certainty was almost disturbing. This is fate, Adeyola. This child will save everything. She wanted to believe him. But then came the hard part. When do we tell them? She asked quietly. Park Jin-woo's expression hardened. Soon. But we have to be smart about this. My family, they'll react badly. Badly felt like an understatement. Will they hurt me? They'll try. His eyes met hers, suddenly fierce despite his weakness. But I won't let them. I promise you, Adeyola. Nobody touches you while I'm alive. And after you're gone. Silence. They both knew the answer to that. Park Jin-woo called a family meeting 1 week later. Adeyola wasn't supposed to be there. She was told to stay in her room, out of sight. But she could hear everything through the walls. Yoon Mire's cold voice. Why did you summon us, husband? If this is about changing doctors again. It's not about doctors. Park Jin-woo's voice was stronger than Adeola had heard in weeks. Like he'd summoned every last bit of strength. It's about the future of the Baekho clan. What about it? That was Heir, sounding bored. I have an heir. Silence. Complete, total silence. Then chaos. What are you talking about? Yoon Mire's voice cut through the noise like a blade. I'm talking about a son. My son. My heir. That's impossible. You're dying. You can barely. And yet, here we are. There was something almost smug in his tone. The child will be born in 6 months. A boy. The future head of the Baekho clan. Who's the mother? Heir demanded. Another pause. Adeyola. The explosion was immediate. The maid. That was Minji, shrieking. You got the Nigerian maid pregnant. You've lost your mind. Suah joined in. This is insane. How dare you? Yoon Mire's voice was pure venom. How dare you bring a bastard into this family? That girl is nothing. She's a foreigner, a nobody, Enough. Park Jin-woo's roar silenced them all. Adeola had never heard him that loud, that commanding. That girl has more honor than all of you combined. She cared for me when you were all counting my money. She treated me like a human being when you were planning my funeral. And now she's carrying my son, the heir to everything I built. This is a joke, Kwon Jae-sung's voice cut in. You can't seriously expect the clan to accept some random African woman's child as. I don't expect anything. I'm telling you. That child is my blood. My heir. And when I die, everything goes to him. Not you. Not my daughters. Not my wife. Him. You can't do this. Hyojin was screaming now. We're your family. Your daughters. We deserve. You deserve nothing. You've done nothing. You've contributed nothing. All you've done is wait for me to die. His voice dropped to something dangerous. But I'm not dead yet. And I'm making this very clear right now. If anything happens to Adeola, if anyone in this family touches her, harms her, threatens her in any way, I will cut you out of my will completely. Every single one of you. You'll get nothing. Do you understand me? Nobody spoke. Do you understand me? Yes. It was Yoon Mi-rae, her voice like ice. Good. This meeting is over. Get out. Adeola heard footsteps. Angry, stomping footsteps. Doors slamming. And then silence. She pressed her back against the wall, her hand on her stomach, tears streaming down her face. What had they just done? The next few weeks were tense. Suffocating. Nobody spoke to Adeola directly, but she felt their hatred everywhere. In the way Hyojin's eyes followed her. In how Yoon Mi-rae would smile coldly whenever they crossed paths. In the whispers that stopped the moment she entered a room. Choi Dae-jung started following her everywhere. Not obviously, but she noticed him. Always nearby. Always watching. Boss's orders, he said when she finally asked. You don't go anywhere without me. Is it that bad? His expression was answer enough. Park Jin-woo grew more protective and more paranoid. He made her eat every meal in his room, food he'd watched being prepared. He had Choi Dae-jung check her bedroom for cameras, for weapons, for anything suspicious. They're plotting, he told her one night. I can feel it. They're just waiting for the right moment. Then send me away now. Before it's too late. Not yet. It's too early. If you leave now, they might be able to track you down before the baby is born. We need to wait until. He was interrupted by a coughing fit. Blood flecked his lips. His time was running out. The threats started subtle. A note left on her bed. Leave while you still can. Her toothbrush replaced with one that had been used. A warning. Her clothes torn, accidentally of course. Then it escalated. She found rat poison in her tea. Just a few grains, easy to miss if you weren't looking. But she was looking. Always looking now. Choi Dae-jung investigated. Found nothing. No proof. But they all knew. They're testing you, Park Jin-woo said grimly. Seeing how far they can push before I retaliate. And what will you do? He didn't answer. But it wasn't just the family Adeyola had to worry about. Word had spread beyond the compound. In the Korean underworld, information traveled fast. The Baekho Clan's leader was dying. He had no male heir. The succession was in chaos. And now, suddenly, there was an heir. A pregnant foreign woman who could produce the next leader. Rival gangs saw opportunity. If they eliminated her, the Baekho Clan would collapse. Park Jin-woo would die without an heir. The territory would be up for grabs. Adeyola became a target. Park Jin-woo increased security. More guards. More cameras. He stopped letting her leave the compound at all. It's not safe, he said. The Sankal clan knows about you. The dragons are asking questions. Even the Yakuza are interested. I'm trapped here. You're protected here. He grabbed her hand. Trust me, Adeyola. Just a little longer. Once we get you out, once you're safe abroad, they won't be able to touch you. Will you be alive to see that happen? He didn't answer. They both knew he wouldn't be. 4 months into the pregnancy, things came to a head. Adeyola was walking through the garden, Choi Dae-jung 10 steps behind her, when she saw them. Hyojin and Kwon Jae-sung, talking in harsh whispers near the koi pond. They didn't see her. Can't wait any longer, Kwon Jae-sung was saying. She's showing now. In a few more months, the baby will be born, and we'll lose everything. What do you suggest? Hyojin's voice was cold. An accident. A fall. A miscarriage. There are ways to handle this without it looking suspicious. My father will know. Your father is dying. In a month, maybe 2, he'll be gone. We just need to make sure that baby doesn't make it to term. Adeyola must have made a sound because Choi Dae-jung immediately moved in front of her, his hand going to his waistband where she knew he kept a gun. Hyojin and Kwon Jae-sung spun around. For a moment, they all just stared at each other. Then Kwon Jae-sung smiled. You should be more careful, Adeyola. Pregnant women are so fragile. Anything could happen. Choi Dae-jung took a step forward. Try it. See what happens. The tension was suffocating. Finally, Hyejin grabbed Kwon Jae-sung's arm. Let's go. They left, but the message was clear. Adeola wasn't safe here anymore. Park Jin-woo made the decision. You're leaving. Tomorrow night. Adeola had been expecting this, but hearing it still made her heart race. Where? Choi Dae-jung will drive you to a private airstrip outside Seoul. My jet will take you to London. I have people there who will take care of you. Keep you safe until the baby is born. And after. He coughed, blood staining the handkerchief he pressed to his mouth. After, you'll have more money than you can spend in a lifetime. You'll never have to work again. Your family will be taken care of. And my son will grow up safe, away from all of this. Will I ever see you again? Park Jin-woo's eyes filled with tears. No. Adeola started crying then. Despite everything, despite the insanity of this situation, she'd grown to care about this dying man. He'd shown her kindness when no one else had. He'd protected her. In his own twisted way, he'd saved her. Thank you, she whispered. For everything. No. He gripped her hand with what little strength he had left. Thank you. You gave me hope when I had none. You gave me a future. You gave me peace. They sat there in silence, holding hands, both knowing this was goodbye. The next day was tense. Park Jin-woo announced at breakfast that he was sending Adeyola to the hospital for a checkup. A lie, but a believable one. Yoon Mi-rae barely reacted. The daughters didn't care. But Adeyola saw Kwon Jae-sung's eyes narrow. He suspected something. That afternoon, she packed a small bag. Just essentials. Choi Dae-jung had already arranged everything else. Passport. Money. Tickets. At 11 p.m., when the household was asleep, she crept out of her room. Park Jin-woo was waiting in the hallway, in his wheelchair. He shouldn't have been out of bed, but he'd insisted. Go, he whispered. And don't look back. She bent down and kissed his forehead. Goodbye, Park Jin-woo. Goodbye, Adeyola. Take care of my son. Choi Dae-jung appeared from the shadows. We need to move. Now. They made it to the car without incident. A black sedan, engine running, waiting at the back gate. Adeyola climbed in, her heart pounding so hard she thought it would burst. Choi Dae-jung got behind the wheel and they pulled out onto the empty streets of Seoul. The airstrip is an hour outside the city, he said quietly. Boss's jet is fueled and ready. Pilot's been paid. You'll be in London by morning. She nodded, unable to speak. Her hand rested on her stomach, feeling the small bump where life was growing. They drove in silence for 20 minutes. The city lights faded behind them as they headed toward the outskirts. That's when she saw them in the side mirror. Headlights. 2 vehicles. Closing in fast. We have company. Choi Dae-jung's voice was calm, but his hands tightened on the wheel. The SUVs accelerated, pulling up alongside them. Adeola saw men inside. Armed. Hold on. Choi Dae-jung floored it. The sedan shot forward, but the SUVs matched their speed. This wasn't a random tail. They'd been waiting for them. One of the SUVs pulled ahead, trying to cut them off. The other stayed on their tail. A classic pincer move. Get down. Choi Dae-jung shouted. Adeola ducked just as the passenger window exploded. Gunfire. Bullets tore through the car, shattering glass, punching holes in metal. She screamed, covering her stomach with both hands, praying the baby was okay. Choi Dae-jung didn't slow down. Instead, he yanked the wheel hard, slamming their car into the SUV beside them. Metal crunched. The SUV swerved, losing control, crashing into the guardrail. One down. But the second SUV rammed them from behind. Hard. Adeola's head snapped forward against the seat. Pain exploded in her neck. Almost there, Choi Dae-jung muttered. Just hold on. More gunfire. The back windshield shattered, spraying glass everywhere. She felt something hot graze her arm. Blood. She was bleeding. I'm hit, she cried out. How bad? I don't know. Can you move your arm? She tested it. Pain, but it worked. Yes. Then you're fine. Stay down. Choi Dae-jung took a sharp turn onto a smaller road. The SUV followed, still firing. Bullets tore through their trunk, their doors, barely missing them by inches. Then she saw it ahead. A small airstrip. Runway lights cutting through the darkness. And there, waiting at the end, a sleek private jet. Engines already running. There, she pointed. I see it. But the SUV was right on them. And now she could see more vehicles coming from the other direction. At least 3 more. Blocking the road to the runway. They were trapped. Choi Dae-jung made a decision. He yanked the wheel, driving off-road, cutting across the grass directly toward the jet. The car bounced violently over the rough terrain. Adeyola's head hit the ceiling. Her stomach lurched. The SUV followed, but it was heavier, slower on the uneven ground. When we stop, you run, Choi Dae-jung ordered. Don't look back. Don't wait for me. Just get on that plane. What about you? I'll handle them. Go. They skidded to a stop 20 meters from the jet. Choi Dae-jung was out instantly, gun drawn, firing at the pursuing vehicles. Adeola scrambled out of the car, her legs shaking, her arm bleeding. The jet stairs were down. A flight attendant stood at the top, waving frantically. Run, she screamed. Now. Adeola ran. Her feet pounded across the tarmac. Behind her, gunfire erupted. Shouts. The sound of metal hitting metal. She didn't look back. Couldn't look back. 10 meters. 5 meters. She reached the stairs and started climbing. That's when she heard Choi Dae-jung scream. She turned. He was down. On his knees. Blood spreading across his chest. But his gun was still up, still firing, buying her time even as he died. Men were pouring out of the vehicles. 6, 8, 10 of them. All armed. All running toward the jet. Close the door, the flight attendant screamed at someone inside. Go, go, go. Strong hands grabbed Adeyola, pulling her inside. The door slammed shut. Locks engaged. Through the window, she saw Choi Dae-jung collapse completely. Saw the men reach his body. Saw one of them, Kwon Jae-sung, she realized with horror, kick him once, then turn toward the jet. He raised his gun. Bullets hit the fuselage. The jet was moving now, engines screaming, starting to taxi down the runway. More bullets. One shattered a window 2 rows behind her. The flight attendant tackled her to the floor. Stay down. Stay down. The jet accelerated. Faster. Faster. The men were chasing on foot now, still firing, but they were pulling away. Then that beautiful moment. The wheels left the ground. They were airborne. Adeola lay on the floor of the jet, shaking uncontrollably. The flight attendant, a Korean woman in her 30s, helped her into a seat. Are you hurt? She asked in English. Adeola looked at her arm. The bullet had grazed it. Bleeding, but not serious. The baby. We have a doctor on board. He'll check you. But first, let me stop this bleeding. She worked quickly, cleaning the wound, bandaging it. Her hands were steady, professional. Like this wasn't her first emergency. Who are you? Adeola asked. Someone Mr. Park trusted. She secured the bandage. I'm Ji-won. I've been working for him for 15 years. He told me what was happening. Asked me to make sure you got to London safely. Choi Dae-jung. Her face darkened. I saw. I'm sorry. Is he dead? I don't know. But he saved you. That's what matters now. Tears streamed down Adeola's face. That man, that loyal, brave man who barely knew her, had died to protect her. Protect this baby. The doctor will be here in a moment, Ji-won said gently. Try to breathe. You're safe now. Safe. The word felt foreign. The doctor confirmed what she already knew. The baby was fine. Her heart rate was elevated, she was in shock, but physically they'd survived. You need to rest, he said firmly. No stress. No complications. The next few months are critical. Adeola was given a private cabin in the back of the jet. Luxury she'd never experienced. A real bed, a bathroom, everything she needed. Ji-won brought her food, but she couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. She just stared out the window at the darkness, replaying everything. Park Jin-woo's face when she'd said goodbye. Choi Dae-jung collapsing in a pool of blood. Kwon Jae-sung's cold eyes as he fired at the jet. Her phone buzzed. She'd forgotten she still had it. A message. From Park Jin-woo. If you're reading this, you made it. I knew you would. You're stronger than you know, Adeola. Stronger than all of them. By the time you reach London, I'll probably be gone. The cancer is winning. I can feel it. But I'm not afraid anymore. You gave me peace. You gave me hope. You gave me a son. In London, my lawyer will contact you. Everything is arranged. Money. Protection. Documents for the baby. You'll never have to worry again. But I need you to promise me something. When my son is old enough, tell him about me. Not the monster. Not the criminal. Tell him about the man who loved him before he was even born. The man who gave everything to make sure he'd have a chance at life. Tell him his father died protecting him. Thank you, Adeyola. For everything. Park Jin-woo. She read it 3 times, tears streaming down her face. Then she typed a reply, knowing he might never read it. I promise. I'll tell him everything. Thank you for saving us. Rest in peace. She pressed send. The message showed as delivered, then read. 30 seconds later, another message came through. Goodbye, Adeyola. Be happy. That was the last time she ever heard from Park Jin-woo. They landed in London 12 hours later. A woman in an expensive suit met Adeyola at the private terminal. Park Jin-woo's international lawyer. Ms. Okafor, I'm attorney Kim Sun-hee. Welcome to London. How are you feeling? Exhausted. Terrified. Alive. She nodded sympathetically. We have a car waiting. It will take you to your apartment in Kensington. Fully furnished. Paid for. You'll have everything you need. And Park Jin-woo? Her expression softened. He passed away this morning. Korean time. Peacefully, according to his doctors. The words hit Adeyola like a physical blow. He was really gone. His will is being executed as we speak, Attorney Kim continued as they walked to the car. 80% of his estate goes into a trust for your son. The remaining 20% is split between his wife and daughters, with specific stipulations. What kind of stipulations? They cannot contest the will. They cannot make any claim on the trust. They cannot attempt to contact you or the child. If they violate any of these terms, they lose everything. Will that stop them? Attorney Kim's smile was thin. It will slow them down. Mr. Park was very thorough. He anticipated every move they might make and blocked it legally. But what? But they're dangerous people. Legal barriers won't stop them forever. You need to be careful. They reached the car. A sleek black Mercedes with tinted windows. There's one more thing, Attorney Kim said, handing her a thick envelope. Mr. Park asked me to give this to you after the baby is born. But given everything that's happened, I think you should have it now. Adeyola took the envelope. It was heavy, sealed with red wax. What is it? I don't know. He sealed it himself. Said it was for you only. She slid it into her bag, too emotionally exhausted to open it now. The drive to Kensington was quiet. London looked grey and cold, so different from Seoul's neon chaos. But it was beautiful in its own way. Safe. Anonymous. The apartment was on the 4th floor of a Victorian building. Elegant, spacious, with high ceilings and large windows overlooking a quiet street. The rent is paid for the next 5 years, Attorney Kim explained. There's a bank account in your name with 50 million won, about £32,000, to start. More will be transferred monthly for living expenses. When the baby is born, the main trust will be activated. And if something happens to me, the trust passes to your son. With guardianship assigned to trustees Mr. Park selected. People he trusted completely. Your child will be protected, no matter what. She handed Adeyola a set of keys. There's one more thing. Mr. Park arranged for private security. 2 guards will be monitoring this building 24/7. You won't see them, but they're there. If you need anything, if you sense any danger, press this. She gave her a small device. Like a car alarm remote, but sleeker. Press it once for help. Press it twice for emergency evacuation. They'll get you out within minutes. Adeola stared at the device. Even in death, Park Jin-woo was protecting her. Thank you, she whispered. Attorney Kim's expression softened. He cared about you very much. More than I've ever seen him care about anyone. You gave him something precious in his final months. Peace. She left, and Adeyola was alone. She walked through the apartment slowly, taking in every detail. The bedroom with its enormous bed. The kitchen fully stocked. The nursery, already set up with a crib, changing table, everything a baby could need. Park Jin-woo had thought of everything. She sank onto the sofa, finally letting herself break down completely. Sobbing for the man who'd died protecting her. For Choi Dae-jung who'd sacrificed his life. For the insanity of the last few months. But also crying from relief. She was safe. Her baby was safe. They'd made it. After a while, she remembered the envelope. She opened it carefully, breaking the wax seal. Inside was a letter, handwritten in neat Korean. And a photograph. The photograph showed a young Park Jin-woo, maybe in his 20s. Handsome, smiling, full of life. Before the violence, before the sickness, before everything. On the back, he'd written, "For my son." So he knows his father was once young and hopeful too. The letter was longer. Dear Adeyola, if you're reading this, I am gone. And I hope that means you and our son are safe. I don't expect forgiveness for what I asked of you. I know it was selfish. I know it was unfair. But I want you to understand why. My father was a violent man. He built the Baekho Clan through blood and fear. When he died, he left me nothing but enemies and debts. I spent my entire life fighting, killing, becoming the monster everyone expected me to be. I told myself it was for legacy, for family, for the clan. But the truth is, I was just scared. Scared of being forgotten. Scared of dying alone. Scared that my life meant nothing. Then you came into my house. This young woman from Nigeria who had every reason to hate me, to fear me, to run. But instead, you stayed. You cared for me. You treated me like I was human. You gave me something I'd never had. Genuine kindness. With no agenda, no fear, no calculation. Just kindness. That's when I knew. If I could have a son, and if that son could be raised by someone like you, maybe he'd have a chance to be better than me. To break the cycle. To choose a different path. I'm not asking you to raise him to be a gangster. I'm not asking you to force him into this life. When he's old enough, tell him the truth. Tell him about the Baekho clan, about his inheritance, about everything. Then let him choose. If he wants to walk away, to live a normal life far from all this darkness, I will be proud of him from whatever comes after death. If he wants to reclaim what's his, to rebuild the clan into something better than I made it, I will be proud of that too. Either way, he will be free. Something I never was. Take care of yourself, Adeyola. Take care of our son. And know that in the end, you were the best thing that ever happened to me. With eternal gratitude. Park Jin-woo. P.S. There's a safety deposit box at Coots Bank on the Strand. Box number 4427. The key is taped to the back of the photograph. Inside is something for you and something for our son when he's older. I trust you'll know when the time is right. She flipped the photograph. Sure enough, a small key was taped there. She held the letter and the photograph, crying again. This man, this complicated, violent, dying man, had given her everything. A future. Safety. Choice. And she'd given him peace. 6 months later. The contractions started at 3 a.m. Adeyola was alone in the apartment, but she pressed the emergency button Attorney Kim had given her. Within 5 minutes, a doctor and nurse arrived. Within 10, she was in a car heading to a private hospital. Everything Park Jin-woo promised. Everything arranged. The labor was long, painful, terrifying. But at 4:47 p.m., on a rainy London afternoon, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy. He came out screaming, red-faced, perfect. "Congratulations," the doctor said, placing him on her chest. "He's beautiful." She looked down at her son. Park Jin-woo's son. Their son. He had his father's eyes. Sharp, intelligent, already looking at the world with curiosity. "What will you name him?" the nurse asked. She'd thought about this for months. "Jin-woo," she said softly. "His name is Jin-woo Park." Little Jin-woo grabbed her finger with his tiny hand, and she felt something break open inside her. All the fear, all the trauma, all the impossibility of the last year suddenly made sense. This was why. This beautiful, innocent life. "Welcome to the world, Jin-woo," she whispered. "Your father loved you so much. Even before you existed, he loved you. Want to know what happens next? Will he choose the peaceful life his mother built, or will he return to Seoul to claim his birthright? Can a boy raised in kindness survive in a world built on violence?" Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video and share it with your friends. Drop a comment telling me, should Jin-woo reclaim the Baekho clan or walk away forever?